The life light. The Word was first, the Word present to God, God present to the Word. The Word was God, in readiness for God from day one. Everything was created through him, nothing, not one thing, came into being without him. What came into existence was life, and the life was light to live by. The life light blazed out of the darkness couldn't put it out. There once was a man, his name John, sent by God to point out the way to the life light. He came to show everyone where to look, who to believe in. John was not himself the light, he was there to show the way to the light. The life light was the real thing, every person entering life he brings into light. He was in the world was there through him, and yet the world didn't even notice. He came to his own people, but they didn't want him. But whoever did want him, who believed he was who he claimed and would do what he said, he made to be their true selves, their child of God selves. These are the God-begotten, not blood-begotten, not flesh-begotten, not sex-begotten. The Word became flesh and blood, and moved into the neighborhood. We saw the glory with our own eyes, the one-of-a-kind glory, like Father, like Son, generous inside and out, true from start to finish. John pointed him out and called, "This is the one. The one I told you was coming after me but in fact was ahead of me. He has always been ahead of me, has always had the first word." We all live off his generous abundance, gift after gift after gift. We got the basics from Moses, and then this exuberant giving and receiving, this endless knowing and understanding, all this came through Jesus, the Messiah. No one has ever seen God, not so much as a glimpse. This one-of-a-kind God expression, who exists at the very heart of the Father, has made him plain as day. Thunder in the desert. When Jews from Jerusalem sent a group of priests and officials to ask John who he was completely honest. He didn't evade the question. He told the plain truth, "I am not the Messiah." They pressed him, "Who, then?" "Elijah." "I am not." "The prophet?" "No." Exasperated, they said, "Who, then?" "We need an answer for those who sent us. Tell us something, anything. About yourself." "I'm thunder in the desert, make the road straight for God." "I'm doing what the prophet Isaiah preached." Those sent to question him were from the Pharisee party. Now they had a question of their own: "If you're neither the Messiah, nor Elijah, nor the prophet, why do you baptize?" John answered, "I only baptize using water. A person you don't recognize has taken his stand in your midst. He comes after me, but he is not in second place to me. I'm not even worthy to hold his coat for him." These conversations took place in Bethany on the other side of the Jordan, where John was baptizing at the time. The God Revealer. The very next day John saw Jesus coming toward him and yelled out, "Here he is, God's Passover lamb. He forgives the sins of the world. This is the man I've been talking about, the one who comes after me but is really ahead of me." I knew nothing about who he was, only this, that my task has been to get Israel ready to recognize him as the God Revealer. That is why I came here baptizing with water, giving you a good bath and scrubbing sins from your life so you can get a fresh start with God. John clinched his witness with this: "I watched the Spirit, like a dove flying down out of the sky, making himself at home in him." I repeat, I know nothing about him except this: the one who authorized me to baptize with water told me, "The one on whom you see the Spirit come down and stay, this one will baptize with the Holy Spirit." That's exactly what I saw happen, and I'm telling you. There's no question about it, this is the Son of God. Come, see for yourself. The next day John was back at his post with 2 disciples, who were watching. He looked up, saw Jesus walking nearby, and said, "Here he is, God's Passover lamb." The 2 disciples heard him and went after Jesus. Jesus looked over his shoulder and said to them, "What are you after?" They said, "Rabbi," which means teacher, "where are you staying?" He replied, "Come along and see for yourself." They came, saw where he was living, and ended up staying with him for the day. It was late afternoon when this happened. Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, was one of the 2 who heard John's witness and followed Jesus. The first thing he did after finding where Jesus lived was find his own brother, Simon, telling him, "We've found the Messiah, that is, Christ." He immediately led him to Jesus. Jesus took one look up and said, "You're John's son, Simon. From now on your name is Cephas, or Peter, which means rock." The next day Jesus decided to go to Galilee. When he got there, he ran across Philip and said, "Come, follow me." Philip's hometown was Bethsaida, the same as Andrew and Peter. Philip went and found Nathanael and told him, "We've found the one Moses wrote of in the law, the one preached by the prophets. It's Jesus, Joseph's son, the one from Nazareth." Nathanael said, "Nazareth? You've got to be kidding." But Philip said, "Come, see for yourself." When Jesus saw him coming, he said, "There's a real Israelite, not a false bone in his body." Nathanael said, "Where did you get that idea? You don't know me." Jesus answered, "One day, long before Philip called you here, I saw you under the fig tree." Nathanael exclaimed, "Rabbi, you are the Son of God, the King of Israel." Jesus said, "You've become a believer simply because I say I saw you one day sitting under the fig tree? You haven't seen anything yet. Before this is over, you're going to see heaven open and God's angels descending to the Son of Man and ascending again."